I went and watched the Supergirl film, first day, last show. And you know what? The film isn't a complete disaster. There are things here to like. The film's cast is fun, the action sequences are genuinely impressive, and buried under this convoluted plot was a solid central theme. That's more than enough for a casual moviegoer to enjoy. Unfortunately, I'm not a casual moviegoer. I didn't like a lot of things this film gave us. Look, I've watched and I've loved older DC films. Superman, Suicide Squad, Peacemaker. These films are great. They've set a really high bar for me. And I expected Supergirl to be at least good, if not spectacular. Instead, I walked out of the theater feeling underwhelmed. If this hadn't been a DC film, I would have shrugged my shoulders and moved on to other important things. But this is a DC film, and I'm disappointed. I've only read a few Supergirl comics. I've read comics from before she died during the crisis. I've read some comics in which Linda Danvers merges with the Matrix and becomes Supergirl. I've read comics from the modern age where she meets Batman and Superman and then goes up against Darkseid. And I've read the Tom King comic, the comic this film is based on. And that might sound like a lot of comics, but it really isn't. So I'm not really familiar with a lot of Supergirl's lore. I'm not familiar with her different storylines, her motivations, or her many origins. But I like Supergirl. Before I started liking Superman, I like Supergirl. I was hoping this film would make me like her even more, but that didn't happen, and that makes me sad. And that's a shame. There's a good story buried in all that we got. There's a good story. All it needed was a few rewrites. You just had to take a few things out, put in a few things, rewrite a scene here and there, and that would have given us a decent movie. I, of course, speak from the many years of experience I have as a screenwriter writing for blockbuster films. Jokes aside, I really think they could have tweaked the script a little, and this could have been a great movie. Anyway, one of the dumbest things they did was they changed Supergirl's age. Supergirl in the comics is supposed to be older than Clark, but because of complicated space-time logic, she ends up being younger than Clark. And that's not really something you spend too much time thinking about when you're reading the comics. I mean, you marvel at it, sure. Complicated space-time logic, neat. But you almost forget about it. In the film, Kara is born after Krypton exploded. So Kara literally is younger than Clark. I don't really mind this change, but why? What possible reason could you have for changing Supergirl's origin? It serves no purpose other than being different. And also perhaps simplifies the story a bit, I think. But other than that, nothing. I know before the film came out, I didn't really think about Kara's age, but now I'm beginning to like that in the comics, Kara is older than Superman. But a bigger problem I had with the film was that Kara kills Krem. At the end of the film, Kara stabs Krem and ends him. I understand why they decided to let her kill him, I think. I even find myself agreeing with her decision to kill Krem sometimes. But eventually, I don't think they should have taken this route. Look, real life is complicated and messy and not a nice place to be at. Not killing bad guys in real life is just stupid. It's idealistic, it's naive, and it's childish. But this is a comic book movie, and comic book heroes don't kill bad guys, even alien bad guys. Mostly because comic books are meant for kids, and not killing is an important lesson to be taught to kids. So I think as cool as it felt, Kara killing Krem, I think her not killing him made more sense. A large part of the film is built around the fact that Supergirl and Ruthie eventually become friends, which works well in the comics because the comics have real estate to explore this relationship. The film, though, never actually develops this relationship. I didn't really feel the two of them connect on any level. At the end of the day, Supergirl and Ruthie just felt like people meeting for this film, and after the film, they'd part ways and probably think of each other once, maybe twice in their lifetimes, never actually getting to meet, which is odd. This relationship, it forms the crux of the story we are presented, and yet the relationship is so underdeveloped, it's weird. You'd think the writers would spend time building this up, making it something worthwhile, but no, we get what we get, and that's that. A neat thing they did in the film, and they did this in the comics as well, was towards the end, Supergirl confesses that her dog didn't really need saving. Her dog recovered just fine from Krem's bullet. And her whole reason for coming on this adventure was to make sure Ruthie was okay. I think it was a brilliant piece of writing showing us how Supergirl, underneath all the sadness and the hardness, is a really nice person. She's someone who goes out of her way to make sure people are safe and protected and not crossing boundaries they shouldn't be crossing just because. Wait, that doesn't happen in the film at all. Her dog is suffering in the film and fatally wounded, and Supergirl goes in angry at this man who hurt her dog and kills him, which is a much cheaper story than the original. And the more I think about it, the more I'm beginning to dislike the ending. I have a complaint that's been brought up numerous times when people are talking about the Supergirl film. Why does Supergirl like Earth music? She likes nothing about the planet, nothing. And yet she likes its music? Why? Earth's music represents the opposite of everything she has known, everything she has loved all her life. She dislikes this planet and finds excuses to run away every chance she gets. Why would she love its music so much? The best thing about the film is Lobo. It was a treat getting to see Jason Momoa as Lobo, acting all Lobo, spouting Lobo lines. It was fun. It was also very unnecessary. Jason Momoa didn't need to be in the film. And if he wasn't in the film would have been exactly the same. He didn't have any impact on the story except being the fun guy at the party. Also, I know a lot of people would disagree, but his introduction was so awkward. Speaking of fun cameos, Seth Rogen played a fun part in the film. If you weren't paying attention, Seth Rogen voices the bus driver or bus conductor or whatever, the bus in which a depowered Kara fights a bunch of pirates. It's a fun cameo. It made me smile. And speaking of Supergirl fighting the pirates in the bus, that was a very entertaining fight. It's a great fight where the action happens so quickly, and yet you follow everything that's happening. You enjoy every second of the fight, and admit it, the fight didn't have any real impact on her journey except point her in Krem's direction. But I thought it was a fun scene. If only the rest of the film carried the same kind of energy as this fight, this probably would have been a great film. Look, the film had some entertaining moments and really fun bits. The alien poopcorn, that was really clever. That was really clever. The bus fight, Lobo, it was all fun. But that's buried underneath so much crap this movie brings with it. Bad story, characters that don't really work well together, ditching the brilliant colors and the overall look of the comic for a generic film look. And most important of all, Supergirl is not likable at all. I didn't leave the film thinking, I really like Supergirl. I like the film, I sort of like the film, but not enough to spend money on it, which I did. I hope Supergirl is just a misstep in DC's plan. I hope everything that's coming after will be just as brilliant as everything that came before. Lanterns. I think Lanterns comes next, and I think that will be pretty fun. I don't know. Anyway, that's all I have for this video. Let's talk again soon. Bye-bye.